Hey, True Believers England team here with the real Dr. Venkman. You're not showing us your beautiful visage today. What's up?
I don't have my hat on today, and I'm
No
a
hat
little
on?
I'm a little disheveled. I just got done. Like, I haven't taken a shower yet. I've been like just running around.
You know, we can't smell you over the internet, but I get it. Male vanity, okay, it's a thing.
Well, if you want to see me without my hat, it might scare some people.
We already know you have long hair and a bald spot.
All right, this is what I look like with my shirt's all stretched out. My hair.
Okay. You've been doing physical labor here. Look, it's a thing. Male vanity is a thing, but do you know what else is a thing? There's a topic that's been just raging across Twitter. It's hashtag comics broke me. A lot of comic book creators are complaining about the state of the comic book industry. Not only today, but Paul Kupperberg, who's been around for a day or two, is complaining about things that happened in the past. So I wanted to talk about this in a couple of different layers. First of all, this is what we've been saying. We're struggling to find something to love about the hobby that we've always loved. You know, we should be the easiest audience in the world. Unfortunately,
for anything, your number one goal as someone who's selling anything retail, you have to treat the customer like they're Jesus.
And you want a loyal.
You want to worship them.
You want a loyal audience, but unfortunately, they decided the loyal audience is the one that they want to ostracize. I did a video on this channel, and it was all about this mysterious millions of women out there love comic books, but I did a video on it. I was like, wait a second. Okay, so where are these women? Well, the women who do love comics mostly love manga and anime and all that kind of stuff, and they're ignoring American comics. And what ended up happening was Marvel, DC, and to a certain extent Image and so forth decided that they were going to kick us aside. We're old. I'm actually aged out. I'm 53 now, so I think officially maybe this is my last year.
I remember when you were turning 50 and you were freaking out.
I know, right?
60.
This is my last year. By the way, Eric was this age when I started. So this might be my last year of relevancy as far as a consumer is concerned.
Oh, especially if you're not buying if you're not currently going out buying comics. You know, I know you got all the older books for the auction. You're so far behind on reading. This channel used to be about every week. Marvel versus DC.
I used to do that all the time. I'm trying to get back into it, but it means reading new comics.
But understand though, it's not that you're aged out. It's the fact that there's just less and less books that are actually worth reading, and the prices are going up.
Agree.
And you're getting where I was from 2013 to 2018. I saw no desire to step in a comic book store because I wanted to have money for stuff that I actually cared about. I didn't care. I said One More Day broke me. I wasn't a DC fan.
What did it to me really was I decided one day I'm going to clear out my box. So I go get all the new books. I'm behind a little bit, not like I am now, but I'm behind a little bit. So I put them on the shelf. I put them on the counter. I pay for them. It ends up being about $103, $105 around there.
Yeah.
And then I decided, okay, I'm going to peruse their wall. And there was a Daredevil #2 for $100. And I'm like, I don't think I've got anything that I would trade for this Daredevil #2. And that's the way I get. Okay, so I'm going to spend $40 on 10 comics instead of getting that first appearance of Mimic that I actually ended up getting. I literally did that. I had $40 of books in my hand ready to get, and I saw on the wall, there's the first appearance of Mimic, which actually ended up being one of the big dogs. It's hard for me to spend that much money when it's so expensive. But that's one of the things that hashtag comics broke me. By the way, Dalton, check your DM.
This is the other reason I want to turn my camera on because I'm eating my nachos.
Do what you need to, man. I appreciate your turn. I know.
You never eat in front of a fat man.
Well, I'm actually he's like, full. I'm full. I had my chicken wings.
That's what I always hope when I go swimming in the ocean, that the shark's full. He got someone else.
Mm-hmm. But excuse me. There's a lot of this going on, and we have been talking about this for quite a while. And don't worry about the eating. I will cover this up by the first thing that really set off was this. A lot of people say, oh no, it's a milkshake. This image right here, kids. This is what started. We're like, really? Is this where we're going?
I'm done.
In all honesty, this didn't. I tried, by the way, also to find this Peter Parker. You remember that Peter Parker page? What the hell? If you're mad at me, fly away. The door's open.
You mean the Peter Parker where he had the Wild Man shirt on?
Yeah. It was bad art. It's bad storytelling. It's politics being put in place. Obviously, I was like, what the, what they were doing here, by the way, is in Comics Broke Me. Comics Broke Me. Literally, everybody knows the freaking rant I went off on when it came to freaking barf. When it came to Captain America number 25, the worst comic book ever. We're reading it. We're reading it.
I'm going to tell you now.
We have to. It's
as
the
much
worst
as
comic.
As much as we give Nick Spencer shit for this book here, he's done the best Spider-Man book, or run on Spider-Man since Straczynski's One More Day. Literally,
that's true. Yeah, you're true. You're right about that. He did Captain America dirty, but then he was okay on that.
He was going to have Peter propose, and then they kick him off to put Zeb Wells on there.
But we also can't forget this. When Mary Jane, when Mary Jane, not Mary Jane, but when Jean Grey.
How dare you besmirch Mary Jane?
I know, right? That's a
Nick
Wells job. One. But this is where Jean Grey decided that Bobby Drake was going to be gay, and everybody was like, "Wait a second, this really does look like she used her powers on him." Bobby Drake, by the way, this is teenage Bobby Drake. After they made teenage Bobby, who's from a different timeline, from a different dimension, they said, you know what, adult Bobby Drake has to be gay now, and they wrote him like a gay teenager who didn't actually ever hear of a gay person before.
Do you know what the worst thing is? These are the teenagers from the 60s.
Yeah.
In the 2000s. And so, in other words, she got indoctrinated in the 2000s, and because being gay is popular now, it's all hip and cool. Back in the 60s, you didn't. And her saying, you're gay. And he's like, if it had been real, Bobby would be like, you're supposed to be a powerful psychic. You're a dumbass. No wonder Emma is dating Scott.
She's implanting ideas, and Bobby was a womanizer for 60 years before modern writers wanted to write for the modern audience.
Well. So what Bobby's gone through, so many women, as far as not just saying like notch on the belt. I'm just saying so many relationships didn't work out. You're saying that you're gay, that's why it didn't work out. There's a lot of guys who aren't dating right now because women are crazy. No offense to the women who are not crazy, but I'm not saying all women, but it's a good reason why
people chided me, by the way. I actually had some people go, "You got married." So I got married at 24. And so many freaking people was like,
shotgun wedding.
That's way too young. That's a bullshit. I'm so glad we did when we did. I also mainly because I'm 53. My kids are old enough to take care of themselves. So, but okay. So this was one. Also with the I'm sorry, I can't read it without my glasses. But we had just bad writing, overly. Gosh, I got.
Looks like Titania and Creel.
Yeah. I care not. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna put some. I put something up that I understood what this was, and then I can't read it because
which one are you trying to read? The Thor's part or
yeah. Jane Foster basically.
I care not what you call me, absorbing man. Just be certain to inform your new cellmates that 'twas a woman who returned you to prison.
Yeah, the whole thing is a huge the whole feminist thing,
and he's saying, well, I gotta say this, back in the day you had guys who like, oh, it's a woman, what's a woman gonna do you? And then She-Hulk could put them in the place.
They killed Death in X-Men comics. There was no, how are you gonna have any kind of stakes if anytime anybody dies?
To be fair though, they killed Death when they brought back Bucky.
They kill. Yeah, if you want to, we'll talk about the effects of the Phoenix a
Uncle
while
Bat's
back.
coming back soon.
And then this kind of art became acceptable. This kind of art became acceptable, and you know what? We just buried.
Thank you. I
got
eat in silence.
Somebody's getting buried here.
Oh, is it now?
There we go. All right.
You'll figure it out.
Here we are. When this kind of art became acceptable, when this kind of art was like, you know what, this has got to be on a mainstream Marvel comic or DC comic, that was the end. And I'm not talking about like a stylized Mike Mignola does
that's Ninja Turtles.
This is horrible. Say again.
It looks like Michelangelo, one of them, tried to cosplay as Wolverine.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you're right. It looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle put on a Wolverine outfit.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is it looks like an indie art book. This is what you would get from a Black Mask or
a Kickstarter book.
Or a young adult IDW book. I mean, something like that. Yeah. This is not what we expected to be, Marvel quality art.
That's like I said. When I want X-Men, I want Jim Lee or I want John Byrne. I want, someone who actually can draw.
Well, that's one of the problems when it comes to, like I said, I understand that I am aged out of the relevant consumer market, but I'm old enough to remember Jim Lee. I'm old enough to remember good art. There's good art now, as a matter of fact, but they do this. And then let me put the last thing up here. We talked about Bobby Drake for a while, but he's just the first of the characters who had a whole history of dating. In this particular instance, though, dating one particular girl that he actually loved. And instead of respecting the character, instead of picking any of the other mini Robins, or maybe even creating an original character, they f***ed Tim Drake.
Yep.
They just screwed him up. I know some people want me to throw Jonathan Kent up there, but I won't, because we didn't know his sexuality. But Tim Drake, we did.
I'll say this, though. I mean, I'm glad they didn't do the Damian.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been something, because
and then
where
say
he
Damian,
was
I'm going to do Batman. So now Batman and Superman are both gay.
Yeah.
Damian would be into BDSM given his given how he was raised.
He would have been killed for being a gay guy.
Yeah, given his mother. Yeah.
Yes, he would be murdered. He would be stoned to death.
Yeah. Alrighty.
But no, you guys kind of ruined my joke there. But never mind.
Ahsoka, watch out for the caps. Hello to everybody. Sorry I'm late on the comments. I was when I put up those pictures, I can't read comments and everything. And thank you and hello to LK and Dalton joining us. We will be getting to the other side of the hashtag comics broke me in just a little bit. I just wanted to point out that we have been saying things for quite a while. Comics broke us. We are looking for something in this hobby that we love, that we grew up on. I myself,
please fix it was the outcry. Yeah. Just we're not mad, just please fix it kind of thing. But
I myself was reading comics since 1974, officially collecting since 1980, and I love the hobby. I'm one of those people who can point out and say, "Hey, look, I was a skinny little kid, at the time, except for when my friends, very soft-spoken, never really put myself out there. With my friends, sure, I joke around, but everybody else, because I was about half the size of damn near everybody else in my middle school class. I just wasn't a big guy, and I turned to the protectors of the week. I turned to comics. I turned to these stories. Some people like Dungeons and Dragons at that point in time too. This was someplace where we could go. Anybody could go, no matter whatever made you feel off, and it was a safe spot. Something I say about comic book conventions. No matter what you look like, no matter your deformity or no matter what your handicap might be, nobody cared. We loved the fact that you were a geek. Everybody was good to everybody until the normies, until the blue hairs came in.
So I gotta say, is someone you're someone who basically was reading the good and collecting all the good comics. So when you stopped,
I collected the bad ones.
You don't feel guilty because these are comics you wouldn't be buying anyway.
But that's the other thing. There have always been bad comics. Linkara famously made a show out of the fact that there have always been bad comics, and all the more power to him. This is not just standard, somebody had a bad idea, or this storyline is bad, or this character's being written out of character in this one instance, or this couple of instances, or whatever. What makes today's day and age different is, in many cases, it's actively deliberate. They actively write these characters as means to an end. They actively spite the concept of good art. That was something I was going to mention earlier, but you guys moved off the topic too quickly. You can literally see some of these artists who are working nowadays. If you look at stuff they posted on DeviantArt, for example, or Imgur, or any of the other image sharing websites, it looks better than the stuff they're doing professionally for Marvel.
We always point to Erica, what was her name? Squirrel Girl?
Henderson?
Henderson. Yeah, Erica Henderson.
Well, the thing is, too, is that back then you occasionally got one or a bad book. The worst book their book was a mid book. Now it's considered spectacular, awesome compared to the crap they're putting out today on a consistent basis. So they were
because it's deliberate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's always been bad writing. There's always been bad books, but now it's just there's barely any good books.
Not only that, but they're deliberately writing things what we would consider bad intentionally to spite us. They will deliberately write a character out of character just to spite the fan base. They will deliberately make the aesthetic of the character miserable just to spite the fan base, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Here's a question I'm going to aim at LK here.
Sure.
Because I think it's kind of
single him out.
Well, also he's been quiet for a while and deserves a chance to speak. All right. Now, Dalton mentioned to spite us, but how much do you think it's spite? How much do you think these writers and artists may be under ESG order?
Well, I don't think the writers artists are per se, but it's tough to say. I mean, again, that stuff's going to come from the execs. But here's the thing. I think that at least Marvel and DC, now you talk about their parent companies completely separate, but Marvel and DC are so small in terms of impact on ESG that a BlackRock or a State Street would actually even glance in their direction. And if they did, it would all be movie related because that's where all the money's at. I mean, this is just, basically over a decade and a half is that, because it's been poor working conditions, because it's been low pay, that you only get, freaks and lunatics, to apply because they're the only ones that are, will stick it out for such low pay. I remember, a video that Perch did, God, it seems like years ago now, we're, talking about, just it was in reference to, another screw up from, Marvel editorial or, somebody questioning, well, why isn't marketing doing this? It's kind of like, the thing is that if anybody was good at marketing, they're not going to Marvel. They're not going to DC. They're going someplace where they're going to get paid. If somebody's a good editor, they're not going to Marvel. They're not going to DC. They're going someplace else. So you're getting the worst of the worst. The people, we've joked about, like trust fund babies and stuff like that, and we've seen that too, where people that are wealthy from another area because of their parents or a wife or husband or whatever, get into it for the love of the comics. Those are the people that you're left with, and those are the radicals. And
here's the other thing. I don't want to chalk it all up to ESG because a lot of the reasons they give for doing these things are stuff they learned in art school. I call it the art school mentality. In today's art scene, it's considered childish and naive if you don't hyper focus on themes, if you don't use characters or world building as a means to an end, if you don't, push socio-political import
It's the
here or there.
I have a responsibility to. You hear that a lot with musicians and actors. Well, I have a responsibility to use my post to push forward a and no, you have a
beauty standards are oppressive and everything else.
Well, and also too, just the childish nature you're talking about, art style. I mean, there's a reason why Cal Art's style is a meme.
What is
a slur, basically?
Something that's dominated animation in the last half dozen years, and you've got
that boxy Thundercats kind of art.
I mean, a little bit that, or basically the person's head looks like a jelly bean, or like if you smushed a couple of jelly beans together. So it's that, or, so you have
Teen Titans Go. Faces. Teen Titans Go is another good example.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's more like it comes to like a lot of Disney Channel shows. And I'm blanking on the names right now.
Was it Louder with the Chowder or something like that? Chowder, is that one? I can't remember. Yeah. There's a lot of Nicktoon shows like that too.
It's Louder Chowder. Yeah.
Louder with Chowder, right?
In the past, when there was bad comic art, fans would revolt. Companies would change the problem. Now they call you an istinophobe. Yeah, there is no there is no culpability. There's no responsibility. They just flat out, no, it's your fault you don't like it. It's not our fault for making it crappy.
Perfect example.
There's no such thing as valid criticism. It's always you are defective and immoral.
Ahsoka put up perfect examples in the chat. Steven Universe is one of the biggest offenders, but if you've seen the Owl House, which was actually a cute show. I like the first season. I haven't seen subsequent. But Starverse
style art is a problem.
There's a whole bunch of others like that.
But that's the thing. Even good stories are being nerfed, at least partially, by this art style. Whether it's Adventure Time, Gravity Falls, a lot of shows that are otherwise good get this very almost throwback art style. It's almost like where when I was a kid, you had improvements on the 80s IPs like TMNT or Thundercats or He-Man. Now you have it in the inverse, where it's like, how do we take the 80s art style and make it even more childish and primitive looking?
Yeah. Well, and I think part of that result too is that the one cartoon books that aren't selling, or are selling from an American side are the Dogman, the Good Boy Mayor, Captain Underpants. What do all those have in common? A very cartoonish style, because they're written, to appeal to people that are under 8.
Yeah.
So I was going to say real quickly that if everybody drew like this, then there wouldn't be an issue. And I'll tell anybody's got an ALOISE,
I got one today.
Pick this up. Yeah. I mean, if you can see kind of the size, it's like bigger than my head.
It's
huge, oversized
masterwork size. Yeah.
The Alex Ross art in this is amazing. I'm not sure how long ago the story came out.
That was about 20 years ago.
Was it that long ago? But here's just a random page. If you can kind of see that.
Let me highlight it.
I mean, it's amazing. I sat down and read this entire thing in about 40 minutes last night. And the thing is too, I mean, also credit to Paul Dini. It's a great story because it doesn't take one side or the other. It's basically a story about Diana learning that she needs to be more than just, the ambassador and sit on high, that she actually learns, and takes some advice from Clark that, she needs to go and learn, and, understand, human beings and, kind of gain a little bit of that empathy. It was just a really good story.
To him saying that the writing of the present comes off like gaslighting that was done in 2020 with the Control U virus. Cartoons and Comics is saying the problem is there's no doctrine anymore, comics or animation in Disney or Warner. But if you go to a smaller company, they live and die by the doctrine of the editorial. Ed's saying I'm a sucker for chicks with blue eyes and black hair. Who isn't really? Maybe Dalton. let's see. I went to Ollie's last week and it was slim pickings. Mine too. Until today, I had to pass it up because I decided not to do an auction tonight. So I'm kind of living slim pickings. But they had a Superman Omnibus 3. I had to pick up in that. Otherwise, they've got Batman Elseworlds. They've got the complete what is it? Snyder Batman. A couple other things that are just looking very interesting.
Yeah,
but at the warehouse is The Crow, Tick Volume 1, and Justice Society Volume 1 that I need myself. Go on ahead and say what you need to there, LK, and then we're moving on and finding out what the people who write and draw.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a quick question, because I was over at my they call Central Station here, which is kind of an antique mall or flea market kind of thing. I mean, it's people get a stall and put crap in there.
Okay.
Anyways, one guy in a glass case had a CGS 7.5 Marvel Secret Wars #8, aka first appearance of the black Spider-Man costume. What
was the grade on it?
7.5.
7.5. All right.
He wanted 145 for it.
Yes. If you're collecting, yes. If I'm reselling, maybe not. But if you're collecting, yes. Go for it.
I may have to see if it fits in the budget.
July's
almost here. Maybe I can.
This thankfully is one that hit before it's a movie coming out. We got to get it, but it's actually something that comic fans want because comic fans like what it means. And so I think it's actually an evergreen. And considering those things have been going from 3 to 700 mint, I think 145 is not bad at a 7.5.
Yeah. It's the black suit. It'll be evergreen until the sun explodes, pretty much.
Okay, so what weirded me out is that we have a whole bunch of people talking, but there are a whole bunch of people. I got to tell you, I was like, "Who the are you?" Until there's somebody who was known, the Unreal Paul Kupperberg. He's been around for a day or two. He actually comes up with a story, and I'm kidding you not here, where he is the bad guy. How broke, as an editor at DC, I had to fire a legendary artist because he wasn't delivering. His cancer had returned, but he was afraid to tell me because he was afraid of being fired. To be clear, I would have gotten him help had he told me. Bullshit. I'm sorry, dude. You're the bad guy. You're completely the bad guy, especially if you didn't go, oh, shoot, you had cancer? Well, bring it on in. Because do you know who's not the bad guy? The executive who told Paul Kupperberg to fire an artist that wasn't producing. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I've been a victim of it as well. Companies can be cold because they don't necessarily have to care about your day-to-day life. Now, it's a good idea for them to, because if you feel good about a place, you're going to want to work harder for them. But all they saw was a guy who wasn't producing and he needs to go. Now, if Paul Kupperberg fired him, or if after he fired him, he found out he had cancer and he didn't turn around and go, hold on, guys, maybe we shouldn't fire him. Maybe we can move him to a different book.
This is what middle management is supposed to be for. It's supposed to interface between the producer and the executive. Like, that was his job of guys, don't worry about it. He's having a hard time because he has cancer. That should have been the conversation.
He could have worked it out, done something. Paul Kupperberg is absolutely the bad guy in this situation. And he's like, but if he told me, well, you know what, dude? He told you apparently afterwards. Is there a follow-up to this story? This is
where you rehired him and begged and pleaded for him to come back, so you didn't.
But I agree with the
sleep at night again.
I agree with the first statement. Terrible story. Absolutely. Now, here's what they're going for. If you guys don't know, this actually ended up beginning because it all started because a guy named Ian McGinty died. He was a cartoonist. He had done a couple of things. He did his own, I believe it was a web comic. It didn't pay enough. He got sick. He died. Here's something. Go to the freaking emergency room. They are not allowed. They are not allowed to turn you down. Yeah. Get some help. I can't always afford a doctor either. I go to the emergency room, and it gets fixed. They are not allowed. It is against the law for them to turn you away. Do not let yourself go because you might not have insurance or you might not have money. This is not all of that. I agree, prices are out freaking outrageous, but
the great thing about most, or even urgent care or most emergency rooms, they have payment plans that can deal with you. They'll work with you.
Yeah, I mean,
it's better to be alive than be dead.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, to go back and let's kind of put that aside.
Okay, well, that is the way it started. That's the
well, yeah, exactly. It's the way it started.
All right.
But I mean, first off, I'm sorry to say this, but until that name popped up, and once and I kind of just loosely followed this yesterday, and then I saw something else that said, oh, this is who or what kicked it off. My first thought was, I've never heard of this guy before.
Really?
Well,
I can understand that. I didn't know who Mike Barron was until he asked him what he's going to do after he's died.
Oh, by the way, you gotta love Alterna Comics. You'll never go broke at Alterna. We've got some of the most affordable comic cover prices in all of comics. Check them out. Hashtag comics broke me.
that is brazen.
And the fact that they also have the corner box. That's what this guy said. You know what? I missed the corner box.
You know what I miss? I missed the corner box telling you what number it was plus the date.
But the thing is that as you saw this, as you kind of look at this now, the thing is this is so morphed out of control, because the thing is now is that, everybody's trying to say, oh, comics broke me. But, there's different levels here. There's one level where you are actually, really treated poorly, and that shouldn't happen, especially things where, companies being late, dodging your calls, all that stuff. That's 100%, garbage. But when people start, but then people started complaining about the page rates, and it was kind of like I wanted to say, well, especially what was it? Somebody had mentioned the fact that, like, oh, in 1970 or whatever, artists could get $120 for a page rate. Today, they're lucky if they can get that page rate. And I just wanted to scream back at him going, well, yeah, there's a reason for that, because comics are selling a fraction of what they did in the 1970s. And guess who's responsible for it?
The artists and writers,
the quality issue.
That's why I started this episode. That's why I started this show, talking about how comics broke us. What you are seeing here, if you just so happen to be somebody who is on the other side of the political fence and you just tuned in, what you're seeing here are 4 loyal comic book buyers and readers at different stages of life. Obviously, I'm the oldest. Dalton down there's the youngest. But point being is, I'm somebody who collected so many books through so many bad runs because I didn't want my numbering to go 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. I wanted to make sure that I had every issue, until a woman, I believe her name was Felicia Henderson, ended that by writing Teen Titans so horribly bad, I quit. And if I could quit the Teen Titans, I could quit any story. Every jump on is a jump off. That hasn't been accepted by comic book artists, writers, and editors either. And we see that constantly. You have a run of comics of Captain Marvel comics coming out, and it's at issue number 50. People liked it enough to keep it going for 50 issues, and you decide the best thing to do is end it. So when a movie that a lot of people have stated zero interest in, or a negative interest in,
an active contempt,
you're going to pop up a comic book again.
Yeah.
You gave a lot of people a reason to jump the off this book. They're never coming back because they're tired of it. Mm-hmm. And that's been going on for the last decade. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
So I want to bring up earlier, because you're talking about how, like, what comics broke you. I feel like when it comes to creators themselves, they're broke because you can understand why fans don't like their work. Kelly Thompson is upset that people are pre-hating her book. They're calling out the art, how it looks horrible, and they said, if you're the writer on Captain Marvel, that was shit. Now, Black Widow, it could have been a Ghost Rider for all I know. I don't care. It was great.
I'm convinced either editorial had a very strong hand in that Black Widow book, or it was Ghost written.
But
I do not believe she wrote that for a second.
But the lineup, the one big thing I already said is that, look, Harley's on there. Oh, we knew it was coming, even though she's the last edition. But my God, the art is so Tumblr art. It's so
it's not good.
It looks like New Warriors.
At first I thought
there are better artists on Tumblr, frankly.
When you do it, when say even Pixar make a movie, they kind of sketch out what they're planning, and so it's not really finished. It's just a quick thing. When I first saw that art, I actually thought that's what that was. It was just a quick drawing. This is the team we want, and then I was like, oh no, that's what you're going with.
Here's my point. My point is, if she had any ounce of class in her, she would ignore the people where they're saying either take the heart, maybe I should change this up a little bit, or just focus on the freaking book, Maybe take some like constructive criticism. Now there's always gonna be people you're not gonna like because they don't like things. There will always be morons, but there will always be trolls out there. But to say you cannot criticize anything, you can criticize you want. I'm the person that will not criticize something to the face where it's all I do and it consumes my life. That is obsessive compulsive, and like that. If you want to do that, sure, but that's your thing. I will focus on something else. Eventually, I'm like, hey, what's that? A new book over there? Oh, hey, what's that? Dark Horse? Oh.
While we're talking about this, by the way, let me get some comments because we've been ignoring the comments. Hello, guys. How are you?
Well, can I make just a quick
statement, and then we're going to move on. And I need the lawyer part of LK.
Well, guys, can you direct all comments to Ko-Fi? We'll read them off there.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes.
I was just gonna say. I mean, and if you believe some of the rumors about Kelly Thompson, I'm highly suspect that this is the first choice artist for this book.
Oh, her choice.
Yeah. I really am alerted to. I am alerted to comments when I hear that ping from a super chat. Okay. So anyhow,
somebody said online that Mark Millar needs to stop taking all the good artists. Because I don't like Mark Millar.
There's only a few times that they ever can. Okay, that was a comment from.
Well, I guarantee you, guess who's paying top page rates?
Yeah. Mark Millar.
Cartoons and Comics says, how is it that they have no animated projects in Spider-Man, Avengers, Hulk, Ant-Man, and the only project is Moon Girl at Marvel? DC is the same Cartoon Network and has no DC animated series.
Animated movies, though, is another one coming out. Just League World.
Yeah, the animated movies have been kicking all sorts of butt. I like the Legion of Superheroes. Well, the Green Lantern one doesn't exist.
Proven with the Spider-Verse, there's an audience. They could do TV shows.
Oh, and Ed Brewer's bringing up a little kid used to be able to afford to buy books back in the day with their own money. Captain Frugal a few years back really did a great video. I would love to have him on and talk about it, but he was talking about how much the living wage has increased versus how much the price of comics has increased. Like comic books, when I started, the minimum wage was like $3.85. That's what I started at. But a comic book cost 50 cents. And that, so you got what would that be, like 1/7?
Yeah, well,
but now minimum wage is like $10 or something like that, but a comic book costs $6 average or $5 average.
Well, again, I mean, I know looking at this a year or two ago, and anybody can go do this. Just go pull a simple inflation calculator, and punch in, say 75 cents from 1981 is equivalent to this, and basically, even allowing a bit of a fudge factor, and say an increase in materials, a comic book that was priced, say, at 1980 levels should be about $2 to $2.25 today. So that tells
now
you how
one
much
thing someone mentioned, and we're going to go back to the complaints in just a little bit. But one thing somebody mentioned was, well, people want more. They want better paper and they want better in. Thinking, you know what? I don't think that's true. I honestly don't think that's true. If they went back to the newsprint, as Alternate Comics has, and they were being sold for $2, $4 because isn't anime printed on? No, wait, anime is the animation. Isn't manga printed in that shonen book? Isn't it newsprint?
For the most part, I mean, it's been
roundabout there, yeah.
A shonen, catalog almost. I mean, digest.
Yeah, it's people love that shit, and it's newsprint. Put it on newsprint. Yeah. Put it in black and white if it has to be.
And,
people, if the story, if the art is good and the story is good, people will accept it.
Yeah, but then all those unknown colorists that were in the comics broke me hashtag wouldn't have a job anymore.
Hey, look, I am a father of an incredible colorist. Save the industry so we can then afford color.
Well, but and here's the other thing. Trade paperbacks and omnibuses are bigger now, bigger sellers and more of a percentage of the industry than they ever have been. So sell the individual issues on the newsprint and have them be $2. And then, when the storyline is finished or when the arc is finished, sell the trade for $16. And that's the other thing. Given that the individual issues in today's day and age are $5, $6, $7 a piece, and you can get a good trade for $15 of an entire storyline,
mm-hmm.
I don't want to sound condescending, but can anyone math? Because like one issue is $6, but 8 to 10 issues in the form of a trade can be $16. That's a better deal.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, I just bought Doom Clock for what ended up being $8 at a warehouse sale. Originally, it was $30. That's 12 books, $30. So that's actually $3. It is that you're right. Actually, now that I'm doing the math, even at $3.99, that would have been a. Oh no, it was $40. So you saved $8. There you go. Yeah. You're right.
And it's in a better, sturdier format that's going to last longer and is in better quality usually.
Maranya is saying that we have Neil Adams to blame for comic books being printed on quality paper from what she recalls his daughter owned interest in a paper company, and he tried to support her.
Yeah. Well, I know. I was looking through a trade that reprinted some classic stories recently, and as I was going through it, I'm sorry, the colors were too bright. It was, digital cleanup or whatever. And my first thought was, God, I would much rather read this, in old style newsprint, because it would look that much better.
Right, but I'm not necessarily even talking about the old books. I'm talking about the storylines that are fairly contemporaneous. Like
you should read stuff like this, so it's in black and white. Much better to read. Mm-hmm. Much better art.
Yeah.
You know why I sold those?
Because
I actually found the hardcover. I was so happy. At the warehouse, one of the first things I bought was the
omnibus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, talk amongst yourself. I'll go get it. We'll do show and tell.
Okay.
Oh Lordy.
I mean, if you want to start getting back to kind of like the topic at hand with the comics broke me. After our stream's over, I highly recommend go check out Clownfish TV's video they did on it. They actually, for them, was very rare. They actually did a 42-minute video on this because Neon has long time experience in the comic industry. He used to work on some of the like Disney properties and stuff. And they're going through this and being honest and brutal in terms of when you go through and read so many of these complaints, it's on them. I mean, there was one where somebody was complaining about the fact that they did all this work and I was owed $50,000 from the various publishers and blah, blah, blah. It's like, why did you keep working for them if they still owed you money?
That is something that we were going to talk about that when I pulled them back up. But what it ends up being is, dude, you guys agreed to this. Now, look, I understand. This has actually been going on forever and a day. I drew some ire because I insulted the great Jack Kirby, the king of comics.
Are you kidding me? When I first came on your channel,
hold on, wait,
I did more than you did.
Okay,
I will reserve my pitchforks.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Look, I did a video, and one of the things I said was Jack King Kirby, man, he is an awesome artist. I think even if you don't like his the way he draws people, you have to at least appreciate the way he can work a panel, work a page. He knows what looks good.
He's got that style.
He is a horrible businessman, and he undersold himself much because of the Great Depression. He's a depression baby, and he grew up needing to work, and he got all sorts of different jobs. By the way, some dumbass, I think they were a troll, started to say, well, it's a Jewish thing because they couldn't get a job. Shut up. No, they could get jobs, but Jack Kirby found out that he could actually get paid better by drawing for comics and magazines, and so he went forth and he did that. But because he knew how real the struggle actually was back when there was an actual struggle to be real,
he was grateful.
He was afraid. He was always afraid that Marvel Comics would stop calling, that DC would stop calling, that Dell or whomever would stop calling. Harvey with Fighting American. He was truly afraid that the book that he was working on was the last book he was ever going to work on. And he created the freaking Marvel Universe, and Marvel went, thank you, Stan. Stan, thank you for creating the Marvel Universe. Yeah. And Jack said, wait, yeah, I mean, you're giving him all the money, but what about, and they said, you know what, Jack, you need to go stand in the corner. And I have a feeling, because I've seen my wife go through this. By the way, I'm simplifying stuff by telling it like this, but I've seen my wife like this. My wife at work is very soft-spoken. So a lot of people who don't work get all these benefits, but my wife, no, Gail, you go stand in the corner. Even though she's one of their hardest workers. Doesn't matter where she's working. She's one of the hardest workers. Jack Kirby, being afraid to speak up, screwed himself over. And that's what's going on. That's what happens here. And this is where I was going to ask you. A lot of these people who are complaining, they are work for hire. What is that called?
Commission.
Say again?
Commission
for hire?
No, there's something. It's like you're not an official employee.
Freelance.
Yeah, freelance, but there's a word for it, and it's.
Or I mean, a contract worker. I mean,
yeah, because I did it. I had to sign that kind of shit when I was a caddy.
Sex workers.
No, no. We unionized. We're actually sex workers are covered. I'm talking about.
Well, a freelance artist or
right to work.
No, yeah, it's not.
Well, they're
contractual.
They're not an employee of the company.
Yeah, so they're under.
Right.
They're contractual.
Yeah, there's another word for it that I was trying to think of, but it's just it's left my head.
There's plenty of words for it. But
yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, it is freelancer. It's contractual. But what it is, I had to sign the same
journeyman. There it says.
But the thing is that this has actually been taken to court as to whether the work for hire is even legal. Like, and this has become a thing with the copyrights. Does Steve Ditko own the rights to Spider-Man and Doctor Strange over Marvel? Because is a work for hire contract even legal? Because it's always signed under duress. If you don't sign this, you don't work.
Well,
that's not a legal way of signing. And I was wondering, do you have any insight on this one?
On which part about the work for hire side?
Yeah, the legality of that kind of contract, because a lot of people are signing it. Look, they don't tell you how much they're going to pay you after you're finished, unless you wrote the book, drew the book, and said, do you want to buy this? If you are signing on as a work for hire, they're saying we're going to give you $50 a page instead of $110, and you have to go okay and sign it.
Yeah, and I have. So there's a couple different things, because when I went to law school, actually one of the elective classes that I chose to take was an intellectual property class, and I actually did write a simple law school paper looking at some of the work for hire classic lawsuits that came up in terms of the comic book industry. I remember looking at the Marv Wolfman suit, some of the Siegel and Schuster stuff. And so I have more sympathy for, writers and artists in the 40s and the 50s, especially because in terms of, quote unquote, signing over, the copyright. I know that Marvel tried to claim, well, the endorsement on the back of the check was, signified that you were okay with it. And it's kind of like, well, that's not really how that works. But especially in today's environment, all of these creators are getting, some kind of standardized contract that's going to say, okay, here's the job that we're hiring you for. Here's the page rate. It may or may not, again, depending on who the person is or whatever, may say, hey, we want you to do, be able to turn in a minimum of X number of pages per, week or whatever. Then of course it, too, we'll have, depending on, if it sells this much, your royalties will be X and so on. All that stuff's laid out. All these people, especially, when you're talking about all these folks that, are complaining about page rates and what have you, all that is on them. They're choosing to do this. Now, if after they signed the contract that a publisher came back and said, well, hey, we signed a contract saying we're going to pay you X page rate, but we need to change it and we're only going to pay you this because we're out of money. Well, then you do have, potential grounds for a lawsuit depending on what the contract said and things like that. But in general, you ultimately are choosing to do this. You could turn around and say, hey, I looked at this contract and no, I'm sorry, these page rates are too low. I can't do this. You need to, come up more. But
further to the conversation about personal agency, in some ways, this reminds me a lot of the writer's strike that's going on in Hollywood right now. Whereas before, in the 2008 writer's strike, you had people begging the studios to pay the writers more because they wanted their favorite shows and their favorite writers back on. But now, when the writer's strike happened, everyone was like, goodbye, we won't miss you. Please don't let the door hit you on the way out. Please stop ruining our things. Because you're not actually, you don't realize how good you had it. You were basically being paid to do not even adequate work often. You got paid to literally spite the fan base in many cases. So of course the complaining in this instance comes off more as complaining because it's not a Jack Kirby or a Jerry Siegel or Joe Shuster making these sorts of complaints. It's it's the girl who drew Squirrel Girl like she had Down syndrome or constantly ruins the continuity and stuff. And that is probably why they're confused as to why no one is on their side anymore. Same thing with the writer's strike. It's like, in order for you to be the good guy here, you actually have to have done the work and also have ingratiated yourself to the fan base to some degree. And if you can't do either of those things, then your absence will be seen as a virtue, not a detriment.
Yeah, well, and I just want to put too, again, what the system that's developed now is also the result of what creators wanted, previously. Again, the famous example, the Marvel bullpen. Well, guess what? The Marvel bullpen in, say, the 50s and the 60s, those were all full-time, lack of return, full-time Marvel employees. That's why they went to the Marvel office and worked in the Marvel office, and, literally were doing, a 9 to 5 type job. They were Marvel employees, but then you had creators that were saying, well, I don't want to just be tied down to one company. I want to be able to do this and that. And then that's where companies started going, okay, yeah, we'll hire you on as a freelance and just hire you project to project. And, now you've got the system we've got.
I want to say a couple things, but first, freelance wasn't part of the conversation. This is the Maranya put me in my place, and I did speak out of turn. There were problems with Jewish people getting jobs back in the day. I think I said, something to the effect that they weren't. I apologize. Freelance wasn't part of the conversation as man of action. It was work your ass off for whoever hires you for the work. And that goes to say what you were saying. Yes, when you were used to be hired, you were hired. You were an employee. And let's see, the old heads were gentlemen agreements for work, but they had to work hard to barter and develop their own lickies and chewies. And Glinzer mentioned, odds are if you win the lawsuit, you never work in the industry again. Now, these days, of course, you have crowdfunding and so forth. You building yourself a name as far as the mainstream comic industry is, you've got a leg up in the Kickstarter or the Indiegogo arena. Let's see. Maranya's asking, can we hear from all the panelists? We try. Let's see. The Maraki Tamaki won't be missed. I guarantee that's why no one supports the current WA, the Writers Guild protests. Editorial like me says, good, finally we could figure a way out of this clown world. And that goes to what LK and Dalton were saying, is just that nowadays, how about it? You made your bed, and now is the time to lie in it. I'm sorry, I'm not very sympathetic to a lot of the stories I'm hearing. I've worked, you've worked, we've all had bad bosses. We've all been there. They suck. You go, you find yourself a different thing. If you are creative, God has given you a gift. Your own mind, your own hands, if you're an artist. I've told my daughter this so many times. God has given you a gift where you do not have to search employment from other people. And this is the best time for you to be alive in order to do that. It is at the same time so much easier, and because so many people are doing it, so much harder to get your voice out. But you are free to do it. There is so many avenues open to you. So if you are agreeing to do this, so if you're agreeing to the $50 page, that's you. That's on you. And by the way, can I hire you? Because I need to hire an artist for a script I've got. All righty. Let's see. What else we got? They also had to do, what's up, Venk?
Can I ever speak?
Go on ahead, man. It's your floor. Your floor.
All right, now I'm pulling a Dalton. This is a topic we talked about 2 hours ago. You've been talking.
Yeah, sometimes we circle back.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow, you're bringing that back? Circle back?
We're circling back. Yeah. Jen Psaki, what a genius.
She should have coined it. Why isn't she getting paid for that? Circle back.
I actually sent her a message. Hey, I've got a small comic book channel. Come on and join us.
We were talking about the fact, back in the day when they offered you a contract, she said that basically most people are afraid to take the couple minutes to have a lawyer look over because they're afraid that, Marvel's like, wow, it's either now or you're not going to work. And and there's so much pressure to say yes because it's their dream job. But nowadays, you have all the avenues you can do. If you have the talent, all it takes is the Kickstarter or Indiegogo, word of mouth, whatever, put it out there. And if you can make a property, Stan and Jack were just two guys. There were some comics out there before this, but they just kept putting out ideas until they stick, until they stuck. Yeah. It is possible now if you have the talent. If hey, say you're a good writer, if you can find someone that's a good artist, Tim and Mark, what they're doing over with Common America, they made it work. They didn't say like, oh, we can't do this. It's so hard. I need to go work for Marvel and DC. And like, they said, no, why the hell would I work for them when I can make more money being the guy myself? Now, if you're like Neil Lanhams or Jack Kirby, you're not a businessman. Find someone who you can trust.
Yeah.
And then boom, and then everything will fall into place. It's just that now it is true. There are people who will try to interfere your business, Mark, and try to make it so you cannot, be self-sufficient. Now, do I think Disney or Warner Brothers, if their sales go down too low, they think they'll be threatened by other people or any other indie companies? try to badmouth them, maybe, or try to downplay. Like I said, you have so much more opportunities with the internet now. Back in the day, you had no internet. All you had is, if you want to put a book out, the publisher, you had to rely on someone printing it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
We have all the tools now that you need, and do it. The worst thing that can happen is you fail and you're stuck at a 9/11 or 7-Eleven or something else. Don't give up your dreams. That's all I'm gonna say.
Sell it at the dollar store if you need to. I think after listening to you, the one thing I don't know about everybody else that really kind of jumped in my mind is, what the hell is that softcore porn on your wall?
That is Common America.
Yeah, that's the 2023 Common America calendar.
I know. I was just making fun. All righty, there we go.
That is done by an amazing artist, is it Jeff Sparks?
Jeff Spokes, I think it is.
Spokes, yeah.
All righty, rock on. I would also, by the way, point to the fact that yes, I get it. In the 30s, 40s, 50s, it might have been a little tougher to negotiate. But let's not forget that the people who wanted to negotiate did. Bob Kane got his ass a sweet deal compared to the likes of Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, and damn near every other comic book creator.
Of course, Bob Kane lied, but details.
We are in the land of opportunity.
Yeah, he screwed over Bill Finger, but still he got a sweet deal.
Yeah, make a quick point. So one other thing too to realize is that this happens in every creative industry. Every creative, especially in the entertainment industry, preys on people like this. I mean, the stories that are in this comics broke me. You could, translate to TV actors, TV writers, movie
animators,
writers,
everything.
Animators, song producers, music artists. This is what the creative industry does. It is a tough, ugly business, and very, very few people succeed.
Okay, I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent, but if you've got a YouTube channel and the new video makes #1, there's like fireworks that go off right around here. Anybody else get like a really kind of, oh, that's cool, I like that. It's such a little thing. It really is. But you show up and it's like, this is the #1 video in the past 10 videos. Every time I see it, it's like, yes, I got the
little dopamine hit.
It is. It really is. It's just this little itty bitty thing. But
for me, it's just like, holy crap, we gained more subscribers because we dropped like 12 and then gained like 14 back. It's just like, at this point, I'm like, YouTube, you're drunk.
Yeah. And with your videos, they'll say, well, these 2,000 viewers were fake. You really only got 52 views.
I got to recommend to a guy's channel. He has sub account is 18K, 18.1. He gets sometimes he's get in his videos he uploads.
Mm-hmm.
These are 15-minute videos. Some are 500, other 2K. 100. It's all over the place.
And speaking of creative industries are a hard mistress, being a YouTuber.
So you know what he does though? The only videos he does is what's basically comic book calls and what's coming out. That's all he does. Nothing else.
Well, yeah, he's become a niche on it. And that's what you're told to do. I understand here that I kind of kick myself in my, I shoot myself in the foot because I can't talk about the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah.
I'm just looking to go on Comic Book Thunderdome later on with Nerdette. I've been enjoying her Thunderdome. It's great. I'm glad she invented it.
Yeah. I called her out on that, by the way. It would be nice if
she said she copyrighted it.
Did she? You can't copyright Thunderdome.
Speaking of the story you told earlier with other people basically pulling a Three Stooges routine where Larry says a good idea and then Moe completely ignores that he said it and rephrases it a little louder.
It would be nice. It would be nice. If there was a just a little shout out. I got to tell you something. Richard Meyer, your boy Zach, class freaking act. Class act. If that, no matter who he gets an idea from, he gives a shout out. He'll be like, I was watching a video by Wes. when he pulls an idea from one of my videos. I was watching a video from Englentine on I Love Comics. I did that last week. I was watching Wes's video, and it made me think. That used to be commonplace when we were OGCG. I was watching Yellow Flash. Yeah, that happened. I used to watch.
I can't do that because I don't watch your videos.
There you go. Thank you. But the thing is that it is at least at the very least, it's a nice gesture. Get that out there. That's something that should be understood. So look, Nardette wants to do Thunderdome. I'm not doing it. Okay, fine, put it out there. But go, I got this idea from Englentine's channel. He's not doing anymore, so I figured I would do it. Okay, that's why you're doing the readings. They weren't making the numbers over here. So you guys like to do them. You took the readings. It's cool. You made them your own. Part
of it is I like doing the readings, but sometimes you're not available. So I just like to do the readings all the time. It's and there's stuff I do. I take from you and Rob and just put it on my channel. I'm like, if I can do it better, and
there is nothing original on YouTube.
No.
By the way, nothing I do is original. You know what Comic Book Thunderdome is? The
movie fights.
Movie fights, yeah. I love the movie fights, so I was like, we should do that for comic books. There's nothing new, new under the sun.
That goes along with the philosophical idea I had for a while, that there is no original thought left in the world.
Could be.
Because every idea is a derivative or based off of something that has come before it.
Well, but that's not new either. Shakespeare borrowed heavily from ancient stories and mythology and what have you, and Pyramus and Eurydice is basically Romeo and Juliet, or rather Romeo and Juliet is Pyramus and Eurydice with a reskin. It's not new.
Okay, I want to steer back. Oh, hold on. Cartoon Comic saying manga broke in the early 80s with Japan economy that saved there. The fans became creators, and the chance of doctrine of what gets more sales than what is safer for investment.
Yeah,
Japan, I remember watching Gatchaman and Speed Racer in the 1970s.
So here, as something with Japan, learn from America. They saw what we did for cars, got better steel, and started making better cars than we were making here because we went to the cheap steel. They started just improving. They love our culture. They love 80s over there, bro. They love all that stuff. All the stuff that we went away from because we decided to basically grow up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not surprising that My Hero Academia is one of the most successful mangas in history, and it's based heavily on Western comics, or what Western comics should be.
Let LK say his piece, and then we're gonna go to the last of the hashtag comics broke me. Go on ahead.
Well, to go with the comics broke me, that was one thing. I'm sure Dalton probably had a similar reaction when you saw some of these people complaining about, oh, I've gotten overworked and I had to do all these hours and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like, have you ever looked at a manga writer and artist before? I mean, I know multiple mangas that I've been reading where there had to be a delay because the creator was suffering exhaustion.
Yeah.
So
when Dragon Ball first became popular, the manga companies over in Japan were basically art sweatshops.
Yeah. So again, this is nothing new, and it's where my sympathy again kind of drops for some of these people that are complaining about this.
All right. Go on ahead, and then we'll get to
real
this.
Quickly,
RDB's the last.
My Hero Academia said it, and it's true. It's a mixture of Teen Titans and X-Men. Probably one of the best examples of taking two things in Western comics, combining them together, and making it the ultimate thing. So
that's why I think we need a Japanese invasion, because basically Japan still has the source code of Western civilization. They just need to re-inject it back to the home country. Basically,
this guy's got a thread. This guy's got a thread here, and I wanted to point this out.
I saw this and I laughed my ass off on this one.
10 years ago, my graphic novel won the Eisner Award. Why have I not created a follow-up? Well, after finishing our book, my co-author and I were broke. I went back to work for a bakery. My co-author was homeless for a while. Our graphic novel didn't make us royalties. We received $19,000 in advance money for a 200-page historical-based graphic novel that took 3.5 years to complete. That figure is divided between two people with the last couple of thousand going towards hiring background inkers so the book would be completed when the publisher wanted it. It was a dream project, and I'm glad we did it. I'm proud to have won an Eisner, but doing another book like that would destroy us. Even so, I started on another graphic novel in 2017, and that effort fell apart in 2021. I don't know if I'll ever be foolish enough to try to finish it. What's been really satisfying in the past decade, making short comic one-pagers with no expectation of making money. First of all, that it's going on with the Oscars as well, but there's a whole disconnect with the Eisners between what people are actually reading and what people, I guess the people who vote are deciding what's the greatest. It's like, hey, we want to draw attention to this little book and blah, blah, blah. The one thing, though, that I think about when I see that, okay, so you had momentum from the Eisner Awards. Why didn't you IGG?
Maximize
Why didn't
it.
you Kickstarted? Why didn't you just start doing the next graphic novel as a web comic? You know, if you're so happy with doing one page, the thing is there are ways around this. It's not easy. No one's saying it's easy, but there you go. Okay, lawyer.
Well, let him go first, and then.
No, I was going to say, so yeah, that popped up because I had seen another tweet, you know, well, actually I think it was an EVS tweet saying, well, you only get royalties if the book makes a profit. And then I kind of went back on this. And I'm sorry, I laughed because I went to look and see, okay, what's this book, you know, what's this great graphic novel that, you know, he wrote that, you know, he, you know, destroyed himself on. And I'm sorry, okay, the Carter family. I never heard of them. And so I'm going like, okay, so this is a niche of a niche. And then even seeing that, you spent 3.5 years on it, and it's out of print. So that tells you what the publisher thinks of it. It didn't sell because it's such a micro.
3 people would want to buy that book.
Yeah.
It's hipster crap, basically, and to Englantine's point about the disconnect between the cathedral and the people, I don't know if it's a disconnect, because once again, a lot of their choices are deliberate spite. A lot of their choices are deliberate contempt. So it can't be a disconnect, because they have to know at least some of what the audience wants in order to deliberately spite them and have contempt for them because of it.
I have a question for you guys, because I saw somebody asked us about comic books, you know, on tweets. No one ever followed it. It just popped up, and she was asking, what is one comic book writer or artist that did something off or online said something, and that's the reason why you don't read their stuff anymore or look follow their work anymore, because they did something online. Not because they put in a book. Their book could be spotless, and you know, but they said something and it, you know, just put a bad taste in your mouth, and you never went back.
I don't care, as long as it doesn't affect as long as it doesn't negatively affect the quality of the book. I don't care. But the problem is, so many of them can't help but reshape the book specifically to.
So there's no one you just stopped reading their writing or art or the artists you didn't want to check anything because their art's on the book, because they said something that's so vile or did something so bad, you know.
The only time that's ever happened was a YouTube channel I used to like called Brows Held High. The guy behind it called me a Nazi once because I thoughtlessly made a joke about the Kekistan meme back when the Kekistan meme was a thing, and he flipped out and insinuated that I was a Nazi, and I tried to explain the Kekistan joke to him, and he blocked me. That's the only time I've ever stopped consuming someone's material just because because of their opinion, and even then it was only because they specifically told me to get lost. So I was like, okay.
I don't think there's ever been a comic book artist or writer I've given up on because they said so. Even Mags Visagi, I read Jenny Hex. Max Bemis, I've read
I'll give you an example that a lot of people stop because the guy did this. Mark Waid.
Yeah, Mark Waid got a whole bunch of people mad at him for what he did to Richard. My whole thing is, if I was reviewing comics, I'm not reviewing what they did off the page. I'm reviewing what they did on the page. So I always kind of felt an obligation to continue to look into that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I have
Because you never know, they might get better.
I have just stopped. Like, I don't buy books with Riley Rosmo art. I don't want to look at it. It's horrible. It's ugly. I did read and review the Robin issue. It sucked, as I thought it would, writing and art.
Donny Cates calling us Nazis. Did anybody stop reading because of that?
Yeah,
No.
I don't think I've read a Donny Cates book since I asked him how Donald Trump is racist. Because he was like, Donald Trump's an evil racist. I went, how? And he says, are you kidding me? That, by the way, is the answer I've only ever gotten is, are you kidding me? So, but I said, how is he racist? Are you kidding me? No, actually, I'm looking into it. Why do you think he's a racist? I can't believe you, blah, blah, blah. He never answered the question.
Because they presuppose it as an axiom. It's like it's like saying, humans don't breathe air in their mind. Like,
but as far as Mark Waid is concerned, you're not going to convince me that Archie 1941, which was written after the whole kerfuffle, is not brilliant. So Archie 1941 is one of the greatest comic books that I have read and I know it's not saying a lot in the last 20 years.
So, okay, was that your answer, Mark Waid?
Yeah, with what he did to Richard. For instance, I know everybody that so many positive things about the World's Finest, and no, I'm not going to do it.
I noticed that no one.
I'll go back. If it's not like I've gone and burned or destroyed any of my Mark Waid stuff. And occasionally, if I'm going through some back issues or whatever, if I see one, I'll read it and enjoy it. But any of his new stuff right now, I've got absolutely zero interest.
I will bring up another one that people stop buying stuff of. Warren Ellis.
Well, that's on the other side of political aisle, but yeah, that has happened.
If he was allowed to put new stuff out, then I would be purchasing Warren Ellis' stuff.
Even his old stuff. I hear people because he put a bad taste in my mouth, because I'm like, really? Unless you were one of those girls, I don't think you put anything in your mouth.
Okay, that by the way is something that oh my god, I just got it. That is something I have noticed in the auction. I have a hard time selling Mark Waid books at the auction because of what LK is saying. But that would make me think, LK, would you pick up World's Finest in the secondary market? When the money is no longer going to Marvel, it's no longer going to DC or Mark Waid. It's just going to your comic shop.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah,
I honestly do not know.
Because that's something where you don't think Mark Waid's a bad writer, you think he's a bad human being. Let's see, between him and Slotto, they are a couple of douchebags. It doesn't have to do with what they do online. All that does is adds ice cream to the shit cake, says Man of Action.
Honestly, if Dan Slott wrote a awesome Spider-Man, I wouldn't care less because I don't follow these people online purposely. I just don't care what I don't. As long as you're putting out a book for me, I'm not searching you up. Now, if I do come across something like that, I kind of don't. It does affect me. For a while, there's a lot. Peter Pascal, I would not for a long time. I would not watch anything after 2020. After all that stuff, he was calling us Nazis. I had nothing to do with them. But then I realized it's not fair to the people that are in that project with him. That it might be actually nice people. They're actually here's the other thing. There is almost no artist who is morally upstanding or morally perfect. If you threw out every piece of art that had to do with some creative who was immoral, you'd be throwing out the entirety of the Western freaking canon at some point. Like, I still maintain that the issue at hand is not morality, it's quality. As long as it doesn't negatively affect the quality of the thing, and people always making fun of me for making this comparison. I don't care that Roman Polanski was a crazy,
rapist,
sex pest or whatever. He still made he still made one of my favorite movies of all time, and I refuse to believe the immorality of the person that made it all of a sudden makes 98 not worth talking about.
Oh well, I'm kind of on the same page and on the other side of that page, because my belief is I will never stop enjoying Rosemary's Baby. Bitch deserves to go to jail. He raped a 13-year-old girl. He deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life. Thank you for Rosemary's Baby. Bye-bye now.
Sean Connery and that Barbara Walters. Sometimes you just gotta slap a woman, set her straight.
Slap a woman. Yeah.
So by that definition, we should never watch an older James Bond movie he made before this because he said something that
it's ridiculous.
What's like Warren Ellis?
Or I'm supposed to go ahead. Sorry.
Let me get some comments here. Maranya saying Warren Ellis created something that was completely wasted in MCU, the extremist story in Iron Man. Wade is a crap writer. His best days are behind him, and that's why he lives online. So many, by the way, I would also put Gail Simone on that. Like, she was a good writer, and then she found Twitter. Let's see. Curious, are there any known conservative or independent comic writers, or are they all blacklisted? I think if they're known, they're blacklisted. But
I would say he hasn't come out and said he's conservative, but Jeremy Adams is talking about going to church with his kids and all that stuff. Now, again, a lot of people say they go to church, because there's different things, but his writing and the way he interacts with fans. I don't care what you say about Rob Liefeld, whatever else. Rob Liefeld is just as awesome as far as Jeremy Adams is when it comes to interacting with fans. He cares about what he's doing.
So, yeah, but that's what he's mentioning.
Liefeld can't draw feet.
They might be conservative, but they're not outed as conservatives. I think if you get outed, you're gone.
And probably the case is that he isn't, but he's just a normal person. And let's focus on that for a second. That because Jeremy Adams seems like a normal person, that stands out in the comic book world. It's the same thing with like Sean Gordon Murphy.
Yeah,
he, by all intents and purposes, he seems like a decent, regular guy. And now that has become the exception instead of the norm in the industry.
I was going to talk about the Scarlet Witch thing. Excuse me. I don't know if you guys heard, but Steve Orlando put out a tweet that said, in today's market, we're probably going to make it to 10. If we can elevate the sales, we might make it to 15. And this is like, wait, what? But so I went over to his Twitter page to find the story to see if there's more to it and everything so we could talk about it tonight. I couldn't find it, but you know what I did find? A whole bunch about Scarlet Witch, about other comics he's working on, about other comics he likes. And in his bio, gay as fuck. He doesn't actually say that, but if you read his bio, that's what it reads like. I just got it down to three words.
Of him doing
he
stuff.
is not promoting the woke agenda or anything like that. He's promoting comics. Once again, you wouldn't think it's a huge thing, but in today's market, it is a rare thing.
And it'd be awesome he was a decent writer.
And to borrow a phrase from, I think it's Jordan Peterson, he talked about the difference between someone who believes in an ideology and someone possessed by an ideology. I think that's the difference. At some point, there are people who can turn off the ideological lens, be it a social justice oriented one or a heavily Christian, family values type one. There are people who can turn off the lens, and it's those people who people gravitate to because, whatever your beliefs are, at some point you have to be able to separate yourself from the ideology. You can't live as a embodiment of the idea, and moreover, you shouldn't, because it's not good for you or anything around you.
Like I said, Jeremy Adams, the way he interacts with the fans, the way he writes his books, he actually seems like a normal, decent person that gets along with everybody. And that's as any human being. You don't want to talk to the guy who's kind of looking down. He's like, leave me alone. I'm busy. I don't want to talk to you. You want to socialize with a guy who's like, you know what, dude, I'm a fan just like you. Isn't this awesome? Yeah. It's like, that's the kind of interaction you want to have. And that kills me that the fact that this company, DC, doesn't realize that, or they do, and they don't give a shit. So that's why they bring on people who like Megan Fitzmartin, now they got Kelly Thompson, who's complaining, the misogynists are criticizing me. You go on the internet, it's fair freaking game, man. Anytime you do something, There's gonna be stuff. There's gonna be assholes, no matter where you are. Now, if you don't like what somebody says, block them. It's your right, you know. But don't complain that about people having the freedom to disagree with you.
All right.
That's the shit I don't like.
We're getting to the hour and a half point where I usually like to stop our talks and everything. But hold on, I realized maybe I don't want to end on that other guy. There's somebody more precious, more closer to our heart. Somebody
Joe Biden? I
think most of us are in love with, and we
Joe
should
Biden.
actually hear from her. Her name is Heather Antos, and she says,
the Anita Sarkeesian of comics.
This doesn't just go for hired talent. As an assistant editor, I would sign vouchers for talent who made more for a single issue than Marvel would pay me in a year. A year! Are you telling us, Heather, that if a comic book sold well and the talent was good enough, they would make more money? Oh my gosh, I am shocked. Heather Antos also says at one point a law got updated which made it illegal how low assistants were getting paid. Marvel was now being forced to pay us overtime. Marvel's response: they eliminated 1 week of paid vacation from our benefits. Oh, Heather, are you telling us that when you raise the minimum wage, which is similar to this argument, they're going to find ways to save money? Oh, what? Yes, there you go. That's what happens. But free Disney passes, they said. I couldn't afford to buy lunch because it's easier and probably cheaper for them to get the passes. Does the comic industry engage in collective bargaining? That would be a no. We did a staff satisfaction survey in my unit, and they had the results broken down by department. One question was related to satisfaction and pay, which my department scored it very low, and the controller tried to dismiss the rating because we work in payroll. That happens, dude. I'm sorry. Heather Antos just discovered that writer and artist of a comic book is more important than editor as far as credits are concerned, not necessarily as far as creation.
Heather, my dove, if you want the money, you gotta earn it, dear.
Yeah. Well, and as Clownfish TV pointed out too, at the same time, guarantee that she also signed vouchers for people that were making, $40 a page rate, or whatever the page rates that people are complaining about. She didn't say anything then, and so again, and personally, I would love if she actually named who this artist or writer was, because guaranteed they have a long track record of success and are far more talented and worth a hell of a lot more than you are, which is why they were getting such a voucher.
Paul Kupperberg did the same kind of thing. Oh, there was an editor I had that was blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to name names, then it's bullshit statement. I'm sorry, but if you're not naming the name, it's a bullshit, because I can do that too. I had a comic book editor come in and kick me in the nuts and then said I should be lucky and happy that it did. Into my own home. A comic book editor walked into my own home, kicked me in the nuts, said I should feel lucky that he did that, and walked out.
Yeah, citation needed.
Believe that?
No.
I hope no. But the thing is if you're not naming names, if you're not putting your shit out there, it don't mean anything.
Oh, praise God. We have some good news, if this is true.
Okay.
Superman Lois gets renewed. Gotham Knights canceled.
All right.
Gotham Knights getting canceled was a guarantee. I mean, the last
Gotham Knights shouldn't have existed to begin with.
Well, no. We don't know. They got rid of their shows, but there was a chance that they're going to cancel both of them or keep the cheaper one.
No, I was going to say my bet would have been they were going to cancel everything and just clean house. So I'm actually surprised that
Superman and Lois is so freaking good.
Maybe it's because James Gunn says he likes Superman and Lois.
Maybe it is.
They decide the other one. You're like, you know what? Let's put more focus on that one.
Like
I said, I'm
happy. Sacks, man of action.
There's no new episode this week, but it's the next week, and then you're gonna have Lex Luthor appear, and then it's gonna go to like the season.
Did you hear Mary Sue? Did you read the Mary Sue article talking about how racist killing off the villain was?
Oh my gosh!
Why would I want to infect my computer?
No, I have not, but that doesn't surprise me. It's the Mary frickin' Sue.
Are you talking about Onomatopoeia? Or are you talking about which villain? Okay.
Onomatopoeia.
The whole season, people are complaining. Now, is anybody here watching it? Or has it not caught up?
Well,
I
we
don't
just
wanna get
spoiled the
spoiled
fact that she died.
Gotham Knights
Well,
or
yeah.
Superman and Lois?
Superman and Lois.
No, I don't care. I watched it.
Honestly, the show has been phenomenal. They actually, you can tell, it's you know this isn't a CW show because it wasn't just about all the women and the guys were just kind of in the background doing nothing. It wasn't like, you know, Batwoman or Supergirl. Lois Lane in this season gets cancer. She's diagnosed with breast cancer. And they actually respectfully do pay respect to those who've actually had breast cancer before. And all of this, Clark is freaking out because he can't save Lois. You know?
Yeah, I got to tell you, one of the reasons why I do like this season is there's no magical superhero. We're curing your cancer.
Yeah, it's
she
real.
got it. They're gone. I'm sure they're going to talk about breast augmentation so they can put her.
Yeah. But the
so
fact
they don't have to CGI her without them.
They even bring it up. The kids are like, they go to the fortress and they're like, and they're arguing with because they don't have Jor-El.
The Jor-El AI.
Yeah, it's the mother. They're the mother instead of the Jor-El. They had originally had a Jor-El thing.
Yeah, they had Jor-El in it.
Yeah,
it was Warlock, that actor from the 1980s Warlock films.
Oh, so they had, and like the last season they had another Kryptonian from a different, you know, thing came over, and he had his own thing for AI, and they, you know, whatever. So anyway, besides the point. Is that they went there? He's like, is there? And Jonathan is on the powers where Jordan Nutt, and Jonathan's upset. He's like, can't you do anything? And you know, and Clark is at her. She's with Lois, where she's getting her treatment. Hears this, goes to the fortress, yells at him, and Jonathan's like, you know, it's like, you guys have powers. This is literally the most advanced, science we have in here. There's no, you can't fix our mother. It's, you know, and as the AI said, it's like the Kryptonian. She wouldn't survive it. It's not attuned to her body physique. It's only attuned to a Kryptonian stuff. So it's like there's no magic cure. It actually realistically, so Clark actually has to not only deal with Bruno Mannheim, but also the fact that they might be releasing Lex Luthor back onto the public because he's in jail, you know, and just dealing with Lois, everything that's going on, and it's just the point where you see Clark is so helpless. He's so distraught. He's getting distracted because he's so worried about Lois, but he's also trying to also do everything else. And it's just like, it's so heartbreaking and it's so realistic. It's not just like, you know, like a sitcom. Oh, she got cancer and like, oh, don't worry, it was just a scare. No,
it's also a classic way of writing a Superman story. What do you do when the guy with allegedly all the powers can't save someone? What, you know, when Superman does find a limit, you know, how does that affect him and so on?
And Lois says it. She says, Clark, you can't save me, but and Clark says, like, I know, but I do believe that, you know, you're strong because you're basically because she's stronger than anybody else he's known. It's one of the reasons he's attracted to her, you know, because she has an ironclad will just like he does. You know, he admires her.
It's a beautiful show.
I
love that show.
It is.
I haven't watched it since season 1. I might actually have to get back into it.
So anybody who's sleeping on the show because you think it's on CW, it's not made
not
by
a CW show.
No,
yeah. There's no Team Superman.
Watch Gotham Knights. That's your CW crap. This
was Gotham Knights is so
LK. I don't know how you were able to like get up without just screaming in the morning because you had a dream about Gotham Knights.
No, I'm fine because I haven't watched it since like episode 3, so I checked out of it. I have no problem with it. So
when Robin beat up the guy that was 9 feet taller than her, and he was like, "I'm out."
Okay, I pray that if you ever do get dementia, you don't relive that over and over.
Gotham Knights is an eldritch horror, like even by like CW writing standards. Gotham Knights is an eldritch horror.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised that Superman hasn't taken Lois to Wakanda because I'm sure that Shuri has come up with a cure for cancer already.
Oh my gosh, I saw a video and there was a bunch of black guys walking around. I don't know what black neighborhood it was, but they had a map of Africa, and they were asking black people, "Can you name an African country?" And damn near all of them named Wakanda.
The fact that
I was like, "Are you fucking shitting me?"
The fact that they Bruno Manheim said, you know, where they are, where the hospital is, like he you know, it's called suicide slums. I didn't think you could say the word suicide on TV anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought that was a bad word. It brings triggers. You know, but
I got
yet somehow you can talk about oppression 6 ways from Sunday. That's modern day social justice bullshit for you.
This was one of the first things I got at the warehouse. I was like, I'm not selling these. I'm keeping these because it was the entire set. There you go. I was so happy.
So I want you to read that to us, you know, on the channel.
All right. You want to join in?
just hold up the camera and we'll read it, and we'll just tell you to turn the page.
Managed to find the Dick Tracy as well.
He's showing us his dick. Oh.
I am. That was a dick pic, and this is the big ass version of what you got in those the
I know.
Yeah, this is all.
Wait till you crack the spine.
And then the Sundays.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap. This one I got in a collection of books with the ones that I sold. It was like when I broke it down, it ended up being like
Maranya
$6 or $7 a book.
Maranya says, okay, hush on that. I watched Wakanda Forever this morning. And sure, he could not see her brother from his illness. So there's no way she could cure cancer.
Right. Let's see. I think Gotham Knights did. I miss Gotham from Fox. Gotham is so good. I watched that again. It is just a good show.
Ben McKenzie as James Gordon or Jim Gordon, what do we call him? And then you have Misha Collins, who's a good actor, gets stuck in a shitty. Well, Harvey Dent could have been a better. Good for him if they actually would have had good writing. And I would have loved to see Misha Collins with the Two-Face eventually. That would have been cool.
It's a shame that poor Castiel didn't bounce back harder from Supernatural.
I will say this: maybe the Batman animated series did Riddler better, but that would be the only thing. Riddler on Gotham was spot on.
My only hope, though,
I will do you one better even than Batman the Animated Series, and I'm gonna be alone on this, but I don't care. The version of the Riddler from the Batman, the one that was Kids WB back in the day, that is the best version of Riddler I've ever freaking seen. I love that Riddler so much.
Gotham is up there for that.
So my only hope though is that Jensen Ackles is now their go-to voice for Batman now, because they're not really. I haven't seen this is the third movie they've done with him now in a row. We're having him voice Batman. I
wouldn't mind seeing him play him in live action if they're absolutely intent on doing another version of Batman, even though they have Robert Pattinson. I wouldn't mind seeing him play.
I would love though to have Misha Collins on and do the voice of the Harvey Dent.
The Constantine series reboot got the same treatment that everything else. I'll tell you what, the one thing that I heard that I wish they weren't stopping. Kevin Smith talked about how he was DC and Warner Brothers approached him to direct a couple of scenes from a House of Mystery style anthology where they would focus on smaller heroes. And he was talking about Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, all that kind of stuff. Some of them, by the way, I don't know if it was from the same thing, but some of them actually appeared on a DVD. And Blue Beetle is one of them in the best segment on there. And that to me, I would love to have that kind of show, like the old Justice League United. I would love to have that kind of show again. That kind of is a showcase. Yeah, you could call it Showcase Presents or something like that, and boom, And I wish he would go about doing that, but
Man of Action. I'm not
that and Batgirl. I really want to see Batgirl now.
Man of Action. I'm not grieving the loss of the Constantine reboot because unless I miss my guess, that's the one that J.J. Abrams was going to be behind, where Constantine was going to be black, and it was the whole reason why they couldn't reference John Constantine in the Netflix Sandman show, why they had to gender bend him and create a modern version of Joanna. So yeah, I'm not grieving that one.
Your Constantine reboot was Legends Tomorrow.
That is basically a continue. or at least the Constantine parts that are basically a
Now,
continuation of
are they talking
the
about? Are they talking
NBC
about
show.
Now, my other thing is, he talking about the Keanu Reeves,
The better one.
You know,
I hate you.
I just want them to do a movie where they have John Wick meets Neo and then meets I don't know, John Constantine.
Whoa,
together.
Except that even if they did that, there would be no Constantine in that movie, because that's not a version of Constantine.
Well, I want basically multiplicity with Keanu Reeves. Whoa.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to that, but again, the biggest problem with his not Constantine was he wasn't playing the character Constantine in that movie, and therefore I will continue repressing the memory of that existing.
Right.
Do you know
go ahead.
Do you know what actually, for the first time ever, since the first one, Expendables 4, I'm actually interested in actually watching that. That actually looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Maranya is saying that Wakanda Forever was hard for her to watch, not because of the black pill reasons,
That's
but
Zach.
because of the murky color, the choppy movement. Yeah, I agree, but also the bad story points.
The cinematography was bad, yeah.
Well,
Rhaegar is saying that Wakanda quiz is the reason why everybody should homeschool. It was embarrassing.
So I'm just getting upset with all these people are upset at all these villain actors apparently getting in trouble with the law. They're so triggered by it. They're villains.
Well, I'm waiting to find out, does it actually stick? I mean, there was some questions put to the whole Kang thing. We only have accusations as far as Namor. Why are we already throwing him under the bus?
And was she a blonde? I want to know.
Okay.
Was he in character?
There you go. Anyway, this has been a 20-minute goodbye. So thanks.
We still got 20 minutes left, guys.
Right. Do we have? Are we trying to stretch it out to 2 hours?
No, we're almost there. If you wanted to, you could pull up either the Bleeding Cool article or some of the other tweets, and we can laugh at the people using the
Bleeding.
comics.
I've got the. I actually have the. I did have the Bleeding Cool, but now I popped open this one. This is yeah. This is the comic book resources one.
No, okay.
Where we have Paul Kupperberg and his stories.
I love Kwanzaa having to get his.
Oh my gosh! Yes, Kwanzaa stepped in. Hold on. Here we go. We're just on Kwanzaa. Jim Zub saying several people have asked me if I've read the post from the comic book broke me hashtag. Absolutely. Unfortunately, barring a few extreme cases, a lot of this is not surprising to the people working in the industry. Yeah, then why didn't you do anything about it?
Can I read Gail Simone's?
Go ahead.
The stories on comics broke me. Acting, a cursing, a heartbreaking. I like to think about sadly.
Once again,
you're too good at your Carmen impression there, or your Cartman impression there.
That was Amanda Wawa.
Yeah, which is really rich coming from her, because she got put in charge of a superhero universe and basically it went nowhere. And as far as I'm concerned, she just cashed the paycheck and destroyed Lion's Forge.
Mm-hmm. When I see people like Paul Kupperberg, and I'm not saying anything about his work, I like his work, but when he's going off on this and he's talking about, we need to change, bitch, you've been in this industry for decades. It's like when you hear Mark Waid or Gary, creator of Punisher.
Conway.
Okay, thank you.
I'm curious.
Jerry Conway, when they're talking about, women were treated horribly. And why didn't you stand up for them 30, 40 years ago?
Also, I call BS because Karen Berger exists and she was an editor.
I want to ask, does anybody have any idea which legendary artist got cancer that he had to go off a book?
No, he didn't mention it. So
yeah, because the only thing I could think of was recently. Well, he hasn't been working there for a while, but recently it was the Ty Templeton. But again, who he had cancer back then.
You would have to go back and look at when he was an editor.
Yeah, I'm curious.
You would have to start doing all this cross-referencing stuff. I'm sure the internet sleuths are out there right now trying to not figure it out.
Have faith in the weaponized autism. I'm sure someone on 4chan will figure it out.
Who was the last time he was editor? Was because Michael Turner is the only one I could think of in the 2000s before he passed away.
I do want to address something here because I actually have an answer for this. I wonder why Kang and Namor are getting tossed under the bus when Ezra Miller has documented crimes on the record. I will, and this is actually something that's kind of thing, because their accusations came after the movies. The Flash hasn't been released yet. So Warner Brothers wants everything. Okay, he's fine. Everything's good. Everything's cool. Don't worry about it. Had his accusations and had all that stuff come after the Flash film was released, I think we would be hearing a different story from Warner Brothers.
Well,
now they've got to make things seem like it's all wine and roses.
Here's the other half of it. I think part of it might be because Ezra Miller is such an ideological conformist with them. They still hold him up as a good person, even in spite of all the crap he's done, because he's an ideological conformist with them. I don't know if the actor for Namor and the actor for Kang have more, anti-establishment tendencies, but it genuinely wouldn't surprise me, because I'm almost positive that at least some of the plot armor Ezra Miller is wearing is because he is such a dyed-in-the-wool, intersectional male feminist type.
I heard it because he actually has a negative Speed Force powers, and he's threatening to throw a chair at him.
Yeah.
Turns out Ezra Miller was Eobard Thawne the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I'll just say quickly that I think that maybe some degree of that plot armor helped make the decision of whether or not they were going to reshoot the movie at the time. But again, it comes down to timing. As E said, it was when all the stuff with Ezra Miller came out, they were already deep into production, and it was either going to cost them hundreds of millions of dollars to bail out or stick it out. The issues with Jonathan Majors and whoever the guy is that played Namor is all post the movie's out, and nothing is currently in production.
Tina Huerta is the guy you're thinking of.
I'm curious on this though. The whole Amber Heard thing. Everybody hates Amber Heard. I wonder if they'll bring her character back.
Not after Aquaman 2. They're not going to bring her back after that. From what I've heard, they've reduced her role.
I heard they recasted Mira. I heard that she got the boot eventually, finally.
Well, we'll find out.
That was a rumor. As far as I know, everything she's they've reduced her role, but she's in Aquaman 2. Now you're never going to see her in the trailer outside of maybe one.
So they still have literally shit the bed.
Do you know how many memes we're going to get of Mara in water and a brown cloud is going to be behind her?
Well, the other thing is that sure they may reduce it, but they could be just saying that it's all it is. It's just that these are just normal scenes that are going to be deleted scenes anyway.
Yeah, could be.
That's also true. Again, it's telling to me that just the accusation was enough to nuke Johnny's career. We have basically confirmed now that Amber Heard was the abuser all along, or at least the majority abuser, and she's still.
There was an article out today that's basically part of the Amber Heard rehabilitation tour, and I know people were laughing at the picture that was used as the cover photo for the story, because it looks like it's taken from about 10 miles away.
She's still got a starring role in an upcoming independent movie that's gonna premiere at one of the Italian film festivals.
She's playing Dracula.
They probably got her cheapest dirt too. Wouldn't you do that? I'm sorry, she may be disgraced actress, blah blah. She's still a name.
I wouldn't want the woman anywhere near me because I know how borderline personality disorder works.
No.
Well, then again, you might be able to get with it because you're not straight, but you are a white male. But
I would get her. I would call it her first porn movie, and I'd make that the movie poster. See how
to be fair, I also have the cripple card, so I might be able to beat her in SJW strip poker.
I am curious though. Like I said, I told my friend, it's like if I ever for whatever weird chance I got a chance to date Taylor Swift and she broke up, she's gonna be writing a song about comic books and oranges. I'm just gonna eat oranges all the freaking time.
Okay,
I'm gonna give her no material.
I guess I actually do want to close it out here. I'm going to leave you guys with a few images because look, these comic book artists and writers, everybody, they're struggling. Okay, they're struggling, and I want to remind you of what we're fighting for. Why we want them to get the proper compensation. I think we've been a little insensitive. We should think about it. And just to remind you that this is the art. Okay, this is the modern art that we're getting here, and you should be appreciative of it. You know, this is what we're fighting for here, guys. We want this stuff. We want characters to be sexualized and changed, and we want art to be this bad. We want the Avengers to tell everybody to get a vaccine so they could have heart trouble later.
And routine, where's the gunman and how close? Blink twice if the gunman is within your field of vision.
Oh my
you
gosh.
Know what? Don't be a bigot. If Captain Marvel doesn't look like a 90-year-old grandma,
I want you to take this as a thumbnail and a clip where we talked about Kelly Thompson.
Or if he doesn't look like a fat, small-boobed dude,
that's Shrek's
girlfriend. Ass
girlfriend.
Is literally on her back. I kid you not. Look how high that ass is. It's just not good art. It's not good art if it is not this art. That's all I'm saying.
Isn't that Shrek's girlfriend, just painted green?
I think that might actually be Shrek.
Fiona is the one you're thinking of, and no, Fiona looks better than that.
Hell yeah. But there you go. That's what they're fighting for. This is why when it comes to the writers' strike and all that kind of shit, people are going, who fucking cares? You suck. You suck.
I mean, if you just give me this art, we might buy the book.
You chased off all the talent to the independents, to the Kickstarters, to the Indiegogos.
You chased off the fan base with contempt.
I've said this so many times. Like him or not, is he a jerk? Yeah, sure. He's an asshole, but EVS can fucking draw, and you chase him off because he'll put on the same hat as VENKMAN there. And you call it evil instead of actually talking to people.
Honestly, Mark Waid is a huge asshole, but is World's Finest? I gotta give him respect for that because World's Finest is being written with respect.
That's what I care for. I understand LK's position. I don't see a reason why, you know, oh, LK, you're Nazi and you should die. You know,
I'm at this point.
Yeah.
See, I'm at this point.
There's a difference because of specific acts that he took. That is why the general
and I understand.
So-and-so's a Nazi. Yeah, I mean, outside of Gail Simone, but
you don't insult us for still reading it, and that's the whole point.
Honestly, at this point, I don't give a shit what they say, but if they can not put what they're talking down to us into the books, holy crap, would we have more sales for both companies? Because honestly, at the end of the day, most people will avoid going to social media because social media is just a shithole.
I'll tell you what really pisses me off, and we're going to close with this. What really pisses me off about this whole woke movement is that Doug Ernst got to be a Moon Knight villain, and I didn't. Goff, Marvel. Okay. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Thank you to LK, to Dalton, and RDV for joining the conversation. Thanks for you guys in your contributions also. What we have going on this week, tomorrow is Tuesday, so Geeky Puppet Show is going to be talking about comics for Wednesday.
The good comics, the few that there are, the ones that are actually going on. And that's 8 p.m. Central. And then we do a follow-up on Thursdays. Same time.
And he has challenged me to try to beat him, so I'm going to be doing...
I know you, because you get to go on and then something happens, and then you start doing less effort because you get so swamped and then you get so many ideas. I'm just trying
that actually is a thing with me. I say I get ideas. It's like this, and I need somebody to help me out to make it like John that Cena. Again. Yeah.
What's his name?
Michael Jackson?
No.
Thanos?
No, he does a spinner rune. I can't remember what his name is. Booker T.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Anywho, you kids have a great time. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night. And
Tuesday.
don't forget to go on over to Ko-Fi. Drop $1 in the tip jar. Yes,
classy,
I'm
Sandy.